And now, here's your host, Jeff Alen.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sports Talk on this Wednesday evening. Usually we talk about, track and field, baseball, softball this time of year, but I thought this Wednesday night, we change things around just a little bit, talk about something that, I don't think I've ever talked about on this program or ever talked about on sports, and that is the recreational sport of, or sport as some people would say, of skateboarding. My guest tonight is Doug Brown, who happens to be a professional skateboarder, and he has a website called skatestraight.org. He's also put out a brand new book, which is going to be available, from what I understand, at Barnes & Noble, called Beyond the Board. And this guy makes his living, right now, skateboarding, believe it or not. As you can see some of the paraphernalia here on the desk, including his new board there. And also, I'll ask the guest here, Doug, how did you get into skateboarding? And here's a fellow that's been doing it for how long?
Well, I started 1986 or so. I was 12 years old, never stopped, even when it was really cool and really uncool. Now it's cool again.
Well, I know that some people, I think when they hit a certain age, they kind of look at stuff and say, I better stop this. You kept going. What kept you interested?
Well, through my 20s, I am 36, by the way. Through my 20s, it was primarily for just exercise and fun. I mean, that's why I got into it. I saw the movie Back to the Future, 1985, 86, yeah. And from then, I just kept doing it for fun and exercise. Never set out to be a professional skateboarder. All happened by chance. Gravity Games 2002 started my professional career. And it's just been a snowball of events, and things have happened, got sponsors, and now the book.
And you've gotten yourself onto the pro tour. I guess before I say, obviously you are well known. How did you get to the point where you got, on the pro circuit?
Yeah.
How does one get there?
Oh, man. Well, like I said earlier, it's something I definitely didn't set out to do. I went to the Gravity Games 2002 as a spectator, watching the pros warm up on the ramps. Got excited, figured, I'll go back to the parking garage, get my skateboard, and join them. Just in warming up. Went up to the security lady. She's like, what are you doing? I said, I just like to skate. I'm Doug Brown. I'm here to ride. She goes, I know who you are. Go ahead. So here I am at a fork in the road. I can either go back and just watch, or I can join these pros in a warm-up session. So that's what I did. I skated with the guys. And the photographer shifted over and started taking pictures, and there was a reaction just from my style of tricks and the way I was skating. And fortunately, I was there at the right place at the right time. There was a booth of a ramp sponsor that made the ramps for the Gravity Games, and they picked me up. They said, no, we want you to skate. Keep skating. I became a demo skater for that company. And that company sent me out on the road that following fall. So I was starting to get seen more. I started to do a lot of competitions. And then the sponsors came, where I started getting monthly salaries from the sponsors, and it became my living. I used to teach guitar for 10 years. That was my normal job, if you will. And
Go out and speak to schools?
yeah, Skate Straight, wow. It was inspired by the 70s show, Scared Straight. You've heard of that?
Yes.
And Dare used to invite me to do the graduations. When I first turned pro, 2002, 2003, and I could see in all the kids just the reactions they were getting, and I was making a difference in what I was saying. Just talking about my life and my experiences. And so I figured, instead of just doing the competitions and the industry events, I would really put my energy just into influencing kids and being a mentor and kind of spreading the word.
You also wrote a book which has just come out called Doug Brown, Beyond the Board. What is this about?
Doug Brown, Beyond the Board. Wow.
Yes.
Well, just like my...
How did it come about?
Just like my skate career, I tend to get into things and I don't even realize I'm doing it. Originally, about 2005 or so, I wrote just my life story for my website. I was traveling a lot. I had a lot of time at layovers, at airports, 5 hours or so, just kind of write down my life story and then put it online, and figuring I wouldn't get a huge reaction from it. But when I was doing all these different spots throughout the States, I'd have a kid come up to me and tell me how much my story meant to him, or I would get an email from even a grandma or somebody, all different ages, telling me how my story reached them or touched them in one way. So finally, I kept adding to the story through the years. Here we are, 2010, actually 2009 when this came to fruition. And my agent, I had her shop to a bunch of different publishers.
Take a break? Yeah, we do. Just as you were thinking it, you said it. All right, we need to take a break. We're going to come back, continue our conversation with professional skateboarder Doug Brown, and we will do that coming up right after this. As we went into the break in the segment there, where have you been to do this, and what do you do once you get there?
Well, my sponsors send me out on different events, and when I do skate straight events too, they send me everywhere. Libraries, detention centers, schools, opening of skate parks, skate shops. I mean, I've been all around the world doing this, and it's been a great education for me. I've learned a lot about people, different cultures, different skate cultures, different vibes, and it's been an education.
Here we are, watching you do what you do.
That's me. And when I get to these places, I usually do a talk, do my skate straight program, and a demonstration. We just call it in the industry doing a demo, a skate demo. Sometimes I'll host competitions.
Now, you say you've gone to detention centers. What's been the reaction there? I can well imagine the guy sitting there going, "You got to be kidding me."
Right.
Skateboarder.
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
And I was in, just last week, I flew to Philadelphia, and I did an event in New Jersey after I flew to Philadelphia. And sure enough, looking out the window before I was going on, it was a rougher crowd. And going out there, they're looking at me, okay, bring it on. But once I share my story and my purpose and my life, you know, they're right there with me.
What's been the good and the bad?
Well, first off, the good completely outweighs the bad, which helps that considerably. Efforts are now into my skate straight, and I'm doing the book to reach people, to make a difference. Yeah, you just get misunderstood. It's the same thing with the music industry. I noticed through the years, as I got more popular, you would get more backlash. Or when I did some endorsements like the deodorant stick. I was on X-Air deodorant a few years ago. You know.
Okay, there you go.
And at the time, I'm in my mid-30s, and I'm thinking, well, this is going to help pay for my mortgage. This will help pay my electric bill. And,
right.
You know, I'd be silly not to take that opportunity. I always have to make sure to tell these kids that I was very fortunate, and part of my Skate Straight event, I talk about believing in your dreams and following your dreams, no matter what. Because there'll be times where people say, hey, you're crazy, you can't do this.
Events like this, like where was this one at?
That one was in Paris, Tennessee, outside of Nashville.
What are you trying to do, play ping? Whoops, yeah, just like you're trying to play ping.
That's in Columbus. That was shot
in Columbus.
That one was in Schottenstein Arena. 20,000 people that I had to skate in front of.
It looks as though you are rather popular with the younger crowd who really does like to skateboard.
And they like free stuff. That's what's called a product toss.
Everybody likes free stuff. Everybody does. Your board that you use.
Yes, this is my new Pro model.
And it's made out of, as it comes up here and you show it, that is made out of what?
This is Canadian maple, 7-ply.
Okay.
It's by Donkey's Skateboards out of California. Right. This is my new board. This just came out a few weeks ago.
Understood. How do you go about getting sponsors?
Getting sponsors. I get that email every day.
Because if Rollerblade would pay me to skate, I'd definitely do it.
Right. Well, for everybody it's different. A lot of kids think that you just send videos out of you skateboarding to a company, and somehow magically they're just going to contact you and say, hey, we want you to write. No, 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 no. For me, it was doing events, lots of competitions, just being out there. For skateboarding, San Diego is the mecca of the industry. And I went out there, met a lot of people, shook some hands, did tons of skating, and just got seen. I did lots of competitions that I didn't even place at all in the top. But I would get an email or a phone call from a company saying, hey, we like what you represent, what you're about. Are you interested in sponsorship? And then my agent would negotiate the deal, and hopefully we would do something. But I try to tell these kids that that's not what it's all about. And I'm very fortunate that when I started in the early 80s, that it was all about fun. That being pro or sponsored had nothing to do with it. The focus was just having a good time. And it is kind of sad now that a lot of the kids are focusing on just trying to be sponsored, just that whole thing. And that's not my direction at all. If this was to run out tomorrow, I would be okay.
We have to take a break, and we are going to come back, finish up our final segment with Doug Brown, a professional skateboarder, and also his website again is www.skatestraight.org if you'd like to visit it. And we will be back right after this. Back on our final segment here on Sports Talk on this Wednesday evening with Doug Brown, professional skateboarder of skatestraight.org. That is his website. And the guy's busy. The guy is out and about doing a whole bunch of stuff. Tell me about the events that you've got coming up, because from the DVD it looks like you are quite the busy guy.
Yeah, usually every week I'll do 2 or 3 events anywhere in the country, wherever my sponsors send me. Now with this book coming out, I'm doing book signings. I have a ton of book signings. DougBrownSkate.com is my skate site, which goes to beyondtheboard.net, which shows the book and has the different tour dates for that. I'm doing a lot with Barnes & Nobles bookstores and Borders bookstores. I will be in Mansfield June 18th at Barnes & Noble. That'll be one of my stops for around this area. I'm hosting some competitions this summer.
You coach kids that want to learn how to skateboard?
At the skate camps I do, yeah. Especially, I try to make up a lot of my own tricks. I'm a big advocate of being original and creative, no matter what you do in life. But with skateboarding, that's how I got sponsored. That's how I got noticed, was doing my original style and not letting anybody change that. And so I encourage kids while I'm teaching them to be original and to be creative. And it's more fun that way. That way you're not just a cookie-cutter skateboarder.
If one can skateboard, can you, just for my curiosity, can you snowboard?
Some people say yes, because the physics are kind of similar. You know, you're bending your knees, you're working with gravity, but working with snow is a whole different thing than cement, of course. For me, I grew up skiing, so as a skier, I was able to go onto the snowboard pretty easy, and then I could just do I used roller skate, and yeah.
Future of this sport. Now, you say it's been hot and cold, off and on.
Yeah, if you look at the history of skateboarding, it's the 60s it was huge, and then, you know, early 70s it became uncool, early 80s very cool. Fortunately, we're in a spot right now where it's so mainstream. And there's pluses and minuses to that, of course. There's now skate parks everywhere. And I think it's great. The older generation, my generation, that started in the mid-80s, we're handing the skateboards down to the younger guys. And, you know, there's people doing it for a longer time, guys that their kids are skateboarding, and they used to skateboard, and now they're starting to skateboard to spend time with their kids.
The history of skateboarding, where did it come from? How did it originate? I can remember being a kid, oh geez, in my neighborhood, the folks next door, gosh, as I go back here, I'm good at this, love dates. 1965, I can remember the little board with metal wheels, and you'd constantly hear it go up and down the road.
Yep, the early 60s, it was all bred from surfing. Because all the waves would be early in the morning, so by 9 o'clock in the morning, you couldn't surf anymore. So they would emulate the surfers of the day, doing ditches, and Bertelsmann slides are called, from Larry Bertelsmann. And so that's where it came from. And people started, there was a big shortage of, in California there was a shortage of water in the early 70s. So people started skating their pools. And from then, vertical skateboarding started to come to play.
What else do you want to add? What do you want to push here? Because we've talked about the book, we've talked about your events, we've talked about the future of the sport. What else do you want to add?
Well, Jeff, my direction in what I'm doing is just moving forward and trying to be a positive influence to kids today through all these different avenues, and just to keep moving forward.
That's good. You started to dream, and you've turned it into reality, and also a living, which is even better. All right, I want to thank Doug Brown for joining us tonight on Sports Talk. And also remember his website, www.skatestraight.org. And the other two are, real quick here.
I have DougBrownSkate.com and BeyondTheBoard.net.
All right, and also his book coming out here, as you see it right here, Doug Brown, Beyond the Board. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk. Until then, enjoy the weather and get out and enjoy it, okay? Bye for now.